let me share something that can completely change how you see money, if you really let it sink in. When you look at the richest people in the world, their money almost never comes from a paycheck. Roughly 75% are entrepreneurs, 15% are investors, 7% inherited wealth, 3% are athletes, entertainers, or artists, and 0% got rich just by earning a salary. So if you want to know how to manage your money like the 1%, you have to understand what those first four categories have in common. Hi, I'm Mac, and I'm obsessed with money and finance. I spend hours every day studying how the wealthy actually build and manage their wealth, what they do differently, where they invest, and most importantly, the systems they use that most people never learn about. And today, I'm breaking down one of the most powerful systems I've discovered. So let's think about it. Entrepreneurs own businesses. Investors own assets. Wealthy families own trusts. Athletes and entertainers own rare, high-value skills. The pattern is simple. They own things. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. If you don't own anything, you're the one being owned by your job, your bills, and your next paycheck. That's the secret most people miss. If you want to start playing the same game as the top 1%, you need a system. That system is what I call the 25% rule. This is a strategy that many successful people use to build real wealth, no matter what their income is. Because the truth is, it's not about how much money you make. It's about how you manage what you make. So let's get into it. The first 25% of your income should go towards growth. This is the 25% that works for you. When I say growth, I don't mean positive thinking, journaling, or manifesting wealth. I mean buying things that go up in value or make you money. You see, when most people get their paycheck, they pay the bills and then blow the rest on stuff they don't even remember buying. This is exactly why 99% of people end up owning nothing of value. The truth is, this is all by design. The system wants us rich for a week, then broke by the end of the month, waiting for the next payday, so we've got no breathing room, and then we're forced to work even harder next month just to keep up. This is basically modern-day slavery. Just think about it. Slaves used to work every day with no pay, but they got free food, shelter, and water. Today, people work nearly every day and get paid. However, their money is mostly spent on food, shelter, and water. The only thing that has changed is the illusion of freedom. Once you understand this, you can start fighting back by taking that first 25% of your income and putting it straight into assets. This is anything that goes up in value over time and puts money in your pocket. The idea is that while you're out working, these assets that you own are working for you in the background. Eventually, these assets could even make you more money than your day job. You might think you don't have enough money to invest in assets. However, you need to find the money, because the sooner you start, the better. Let me show you something that will blow your mind. This is Ken. He started investing $200 a month at 20 years old. And this is Ron. He didn't start until he was 30, but to catch up, he invested $300 a month. Now let's fast forward to when they reach 60 and they both stopped investing. Now let's add up how much each one saved. Ken put in $200 per month for 40 years, so that's a total of $96,000. However, Ron put in $300 per month for 30 years, which is a total of $108,000. So Ron ended up with more money, right? Because he saved more each month. Well, not exactly, because they were investing instead of just saving. If we assume an average annual return of 10%, which is the average return of the S&P 500 over the last 100 years, then the numbers start to look a little different. Ron's investment would be worth $678,146. Not bad. Whereas Ken's investment would be worth a massive $1,264,816. How crazy is that? Ken invested $12,000 less, but ended up with nearly $600,000 more, all because he started earlier. That's the power of compound growth. That's why you should start now, even if it's small, because waiting will cost you more than you think. But how can you actually get started? Well, step 1 is to pick your growth assets. There are tons of ways to grow your money, but not all of them carry the same risk or reward. So I like to think of them as a scale from pretty safe and steady to high risk, high reward. At the lower risk end, we've got index funds. Honestly, this is where most people should start. You're not trying to pick winners, you're just buying a piece of the whole market, like the S&P 500 I mentioned before. You don't need to check charts or time the market. You just let it sit there and grow quietly in the background. Then there's real estate. That could be rental property if you've got the money, or REITs if you don't. REITs let you invest in real estate without buying a property. It's kind of like buying a small piece of a building with a bunch of other people. In the middle are skills. Learning a skill that makes you money is hands down the fastest return on investment you'll ever see. I'm talking about things like editing, sales, coding, anything you can actually use to bring in income. Unlike stocks or property, no one can take it away from you. However, it does take more time to learn, and that's why it's a bit higher on the risk scale than the other two. Further up, we've got online businesses, stuff like drop shipping and selling digital products. These can pay off big, but they take a lot of work, and you've got to be ready to fail a few times before you figure it out. Then we get to individual stocks. I know it's tempting to try and pick the next Tesla, but unless you've done your homework and you really know what you're doing, you're basically just guessing. So if you're going to do it without learning the specifics, keep it small and treat it like a hobby, not your main strategy. And right at the top are alternative investments. I'm talking Bitcoin, Ethereum, NFTs, gold, watches, sneakers, you name it. Can you make money with these? Absolutely. Can you lose it overnight? Also, absolutely. These are your moonshots. Fun to try, but not where you build long-term wealth. So if I were you, I'd start with the stuff that actually builds a foundation, which are index funds and high-income skills. Then, as you get more confident, you can start playing around with the rest. So now you know what to invest in. Now we've got to talk about how to invest, because if you're doing it through the wrong kind of account, you could be giving away thousands in unnecessary taxes without even realizing it. That's why step 2 is to set up tax-advantaged accounts. Right, let me show you the smart way to legally save as much money as possible. Before we dive in, remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just sharing what I've learned from reading books and studying other successful people. If you're in the U.S., your best option is the Roth IRA. This is one of the best accounts you can open. You put in money you already paid tax on, but every penny it makes grows completely tax-free. And when you retire, you can take it out with zero tax. The limit on this account is $7,000 a year if you're under 50. Even billionaires use this account. Peter Thiel, one of the guys behind PayPal, reportedly turned his Roth IRA into over $5 billion. He did this by investing in early-stage high-growth companies, including PayPal and Facebook, which then went up in value like crazy. Then there's the 401k, which is basically a retirement account through your job. The money you put in comes out of your paycheck before tax. It also grows over time without getting taxed while it's invested. And if your employer offers a match, absolutely take it. That's literally free money. Now, if you're in the UK, one of the best options is the Stocks and Shares ISA. You can invest up to £20,000 a year, and anything you make is tax-free. If you're working in 9 to 5, you probably have access to a workplace pension. Usually, you'll put in 5% and your employer will match with 3%. That's basically free money. You don't pay any tax on the money it makes while it's growing. You only pay tax when you take it out later on.
The problem is, lots of people open up these accounts but never actually invest in anything. That brings us to step 3. Actually start investing. So now you've picked your growth assets and you've set up your account, whether you're on Vanguard, Robinhood, or something else, it's time to actually put your money to work. The best thing you can do is set up a monthly transfer that goes straight from your bank account into your investment platform, ideally on payday. That way you never even see the money sitting in your account and get tempted to spend it.
Once it lands, you don't need to mess around with charts or try to time the market. Just look for S&P 500 index funds and start investing. Once your investing is on autopilot, your job is simple. Stop messing around and go make more money. Because the truth is, the people who build wealth aren't the ones picking the fanciest stocks. They're the ones consistently putting in more over time. So here's what I want you to do. Take action today. Don't wait until you make more money. Don't wait until next year. Set up that investment account, automate that first 25%, and start building real wealth. Remember, Ken and Ron's story showed us that time matters way more than the amount. The best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now. If you found this helpful, drop a like and subscribe, because I'm breaking down more money strategies that actually work. I'll see you in the next one.